It's been a minute since I've seen an update about our top G, Andrew Tate and his brother, the Tate brothers. Well, here's an update for you. They're now being extradited from Florida to Britain to face 59 criminal charges, including stuff that I don't feel comfortable saying, and 38 of these charges are brand new coming from Britain. I was under the impression that the internet had finally started to forget about the Tate brothers, and I actually think that that is starting to be the case, but thankfully, the legal side of things, in whatever country they go to, have not forgotten about them. I'm going to timestamp this video because firstly, I want to go over and give you guys an update as to what happened with like the Romania thing, because I barely knew what happened, them moving to Florida, and then now this extradition process and these new charges put against them. But of course, before we jump into that, if you could quick scroll down and just leave this video a thumbs up, perchance a hype, and subscribe while you're at it. It's very small stuff, but it really means the world for me and really helps my channel and the videos that I put out. And more importantly, regardless of you doing any of that for me, just thank you for watching. So to kick things off, let's go over this, house arrest thing where they were in Romania awaiting to go to trial over charges that were pressed against them in Romania. And this is important because Britain also had charges against the brothers. I think in total, it was 21 charges prior to the new 38 that were added recently. The whole deal was Romania wanted to prosecute them first, go to trial, and deal with their stuff first before they allowed extradition over to Britain. And at that point, they were considered flight risks, so they weren't allowed to leave the country. That was, of course, until the Romanian court says Andrew Tate's case can't go to trial because of missteps by the prosecutors. And keep in mind, this is back in 2024. An appeals court in Romania ruled that the human trafficking cases against influencer Andrew Tate and his brother, about 2 Romanian women, cannot go to trial because of multiple legal and procedural irregularities on the part of the prosecutors. Now, again, these were surrounding, and it kind of points it out here, the forks. There were 2 women working alongside them, at least that's what they were accusing them of human trafficking and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women. So I believe it was like a cam girl situation. He talked a lot about it with his like top G stuff and what he was doing to, break out of the matrix, which was just sexually exploiting women, allegedly. But anyway, all this ends up happening, and the court effectively returned the case to the prosecutors, who can now bring forth new evidence to back up their charges or amend and change the existing ones. And right down below it, that same court that did this appeal looks like it gave prosecutors 5 days to amend their case or file to withdraw it. So effectively, potentially, when it comes to like ethics or how things were sourced, I'm thinking like in the US, maybe if you find evidence, but you didn't use a warrant to obtain this evidence and you would have needed to, something along those lines. I'm sure there is much more to that, but in essence, they're saying ethically, there are some issues here. There are procedural flaws that made them stop. Okay, whatever. Well, fast forward a little bit, and we start seeing that the Andrew Tate and his brother landed in Florida, and DeSantis was not a very big fan of that. DeSantis, of course, being Florida's governor, Ron DeSantis. And this happened because Romanian officials announced that the court restrictions prohibiting them from leaving Romania while awaiting trial were lifted. They weren't viewed as a flight risk anymore. They were claiming that their case in Romania was dismissed in December 2024, and because they have no active indictment in court, the prosecutor recently decided to let them return to the US. Now, it mentions here the charges against the Tates remain in force and they will be expected to return to Romania for court appearances. They did actually do this. Essentially, any hearings that they were supposed to go to, they would actually fly back to Romania and show up for them, which gave them a bit more kind of leniency and allowing them to continue this, no travel ban while they were supposed to be dealing with this shit. So it allowed them to stay in Florida. And so now that brings us to modern times. What came out July 18th, which was CPS, which is the Crown Prosecution Service, which assuming is, for Britain, coming forward and charging Andrew Tate and his brother with 38 new charges. Let's go over them, shall we? The Crown Prosecution Service has decided to bring further charges against brothers Andrew and Tristan Tate in relation to 4 further victims. The CPS has decided to prosecute Andrew Tate 39 with 7 further counts of grape, 3 counts of arranging or facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation, 3 counts of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, and 19 additional charges for offenses relating to indecent images of a child and extreme pornography. The CPS has decided to prosecute Tristan Tate, 38, with 1 count of sexual assault, 2 counts of grape, and 3 counts of arranging or facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation. Pretty light stuff. Now, these new offenses are alleged to have taken place between July of 2010 and August of 2017. The suspects were arrested by the U.S. Marshal Service, which is kind of why we know about this. So they were arrested by the United States on July 18th. following their arrest, U.S. prosecutors will be seeking extradition in relation to the original 21 charges and the further charges which we have decided to prosecute. So in total, again, 59 charges. Now they're saying that these charging decisions followed receipt of a further file of evidence from Bedfordshire police and bring the total number of alleged victims in this case to 7. And then fun little notes for the editors that I found interesting here. Tristan Tate previously had charges against him for 11 counts, including 3 counts of rape, 6 counts of actual bodily harm, and 2 counts of human trafficking. Andrew Tate previously had charges against him for 10 counts, including 3 counts of rape, 4 counts of actual bodily harm, 2 counts of human trafficking, and 1 count of controlling prostitution for gain. So all the previous charges were just about the first 3 victims. I don't mean just in that sort of way, but the new charges, the new 38, are in relation to the further 4 victims. This is very clearly a very complicated, complex issue. When you have these charges spanning, multiple different countries, being Romania and Britain, it gets very hairy. And the fact that the trial that was going to happen in Romania ended up having to essentially get put on pause and put back to the prosecutors while they still have to figure out what they can do with what they have, and also what was procedurally actually done correctly so they can follow their own letter of the law. But I say all of that because it is very hard to speculate as to what is going on. It's very hard to know what the details of each of these individual charges are because there's so much that is going on behind the scenes and there's so much that just hasn't come out yet that we're just seeing the charges getting stacked. And I'm looking at this from the lens of US law, where I'm seeing someone get charged, I think Andrew is at 10 total counts of rape, and I see something like that, and I go, there's no fucking way he's not guilty, because how do you get 10 charges of that? How do you proceed to have 32 more charges in relation to what you were doing and not have any wrongdoing? And so I'm just looking at this from the perspective of there's just no fucking way nothing, went on when there's just this much that's already happening. It's not proof. They haven't gone to court. They haven't won or lost. It hasn't been decided yet. But when I look at it like that, that's what happens in my brain. I could very well be wrong, and I'm very curious if anyone has info about how the Romanian police handle things, how Britain handles these kinds of investigations. I'd love to hear more, but I don't have the equipment and I don't have, the months of research I feel like I need to do to better understand those systems. But the last thing that I do want to share for you guys, which I thought was kind of interesting, is they are now seeking bail before they are getting extradited because they have a huge target on their back, as when you receive 59 charges in relation to sexual exploitation and even worse of women multiple times over, it kind of puts a target on your back, as claimed by Andrew and Tristan Tate's attorney. I found this fun little video from Al Jazeera, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, where it is their attorney speaking on behalf, and I'll just play that out here.
The allegations that they've been accused of are some of the worst allegations in the world. They put a target on their back for them to get stabbed, jumped, murdered, whatever it is in jail, because that is how jail politics and that is how jail gangs and how the jail economy works. There's a pecking order in jail. It's very real.
Now, I've never heard that theory made where he's saying, they've put a target on their back by giving them all these charges and now they're going to be hunted down. There's a pecking order in prison. Well, yes, I know of the pecking order being true because when PDFs end up in prison, a lot of the time, if they are found out to be PDFs, they do not live for much longer after that. But I don't know if I've ever heard it theorized that they were doing that on purpose, or maybe that's not the claim he's making, but it just seems like he's insinuating that they're doing this, that Britain is doing this, hopefully to get these brothers iced while they're awaiting their extradition. I'd be very curious to hear what you guys think. And I mean, at the very least, the attorney seems to be trying his best to do his job and get them any sort of leniency at any stage of this. But I guess only time will tell. If something very interesting ends up coming up or there's a good update, I will make sure to cover it. But that's all I've got for this video. If you guys ended up enjoying it, please be sure to leave a like, consider, hyping the video, subscribe to the channel, or follow on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify. By the way, this is now on Spotify. I'll leave a link in the description. Also, if you stayed this long, you're 18 and up and want to join the Discord, come join. I'll leave it in the pinned comment. I always do. Feel free to join. We play video games, chat about drama, stay up to date. I've got a drama thread. It's essentially Reddit, but less cringe. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys later. Adios. Peace. Bye.